Right now on Queen City News at 4, bombshell testimony from a former White House staffer on former President Donald Trump's actions on January 6th. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Annie Satowski.
And I'm Derek Dellinger. Today we heard testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson. She is the White House Chief of Staff, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' top aide.
And we learned that Trump knew his supporters were carrying guns and weapons that day. She also said that Trump and Meadows were aware of the possibility of violence, adding that at one point, President Trump wanted to go to the Capitol and lunged at agents for the steering wheel when Secret Service tried to stop him.
So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol. And when Bobby had relayed to him, we don't have the assets to do it. It's not secure. We're going back to the West Wing. The president had a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now."
Now, we want to bring in our chief legal correspondent, Seema Iyer. And Seema, I can understand why exactly they called the surprise hearing today, but there were a lot of revelations out here, and I think a lot of questions people have right now is considering the scope of what was made, and especially some of the claims of violence that the president had apparently done. Could he be facing charges out of this?
Oh, he absolutely could. It's just building and building and building about the charges regarding the president itself. It's what did he know? When did he know? It's something we've heard for the last 50 years, and it comes now to the forefront because it is the planning, the premeditation of January 6th violence. It is President Trump's gathering people together. It is the statements that he made to his former chief of staff, to other people in the West Wing, and specifically these allegations of his own personal violence against people, how that is going to play in. Now, when you talk about charges, most of the charges we're looking at are obstruction of government, obstruction of justice. We're talking about different conspiracy charges, these conspiracy to overthrow the government, to overturn the election. Seditious conspiracy is another one. But it really, at this point, it is a pile-on effect. And I think the strongest testimony that we heard today was not, even though it's salacious, shall we say, it's not his personal violence, but more the premeditation and the planning and the conspiring with others, that other people knew what he was doing and they could have reported it, they could have told someone, but unfortunately, it is all on the hands of this very young, incredibly poised woman who had the guts to do this. I don't know any of us at her age would have had such guts.
Well, and being in the center of such a high profile, perhaps like the most high profile thing that we've had happen in the last 50 years. And you kind of mentioned the other people who were involved in this. So we also heard Hutchinson today talk about some remarks made by Mark Meadows and Rudy Giuliani a couple days leading up to January 6th, kind of mentioning how bad things could be at the Capitol. And this is what she had to say that they did after that attack. Let's take a listen.
Ms. Hutchinson, did Rudy Giuliani ever suggest that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
He did.
Ms. Hutchinson, did White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows ever indicate that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
Mr. Meadows did seek that pardon. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so this is more testimony kind of, as you said, piling on to what we heard last week, because then we did hear officials asking about pardons. Again, we heard that again today. So if someone asks for a pardon, is that considered an admission of guilt? What do we talk about in legalese here?
Absolutely, Annie. And this is why the committee is trying to bring out this testimony, is that all of these people, so now we have Giuliani, we have Mark Meadows. From last week, we heard about Jim Jordan, Scott Perry. I'm sure I'm missing some people, but there is a laundry list of people who were trying to get, John Eastman, former Trump lawyer, he was also trying to get on that pardon list. So everybody on that pardon list, by asking for a pardon, the committee is trying to put forth to the American people, they were admitting their they were guilty of something. They knew they did something wrong. They wanted to be assured of a pardon so they could further their own bad actions. And so the list is getting longer. The evidence is getting so much greater every single week. It is just bombshell after bombshell. Wow.
So basically, yes, the salacious stuff is one thing, but it's also on that same point, though, you have all this other substantive information that's out there that's what's being paid attention to.
And we're getting a lot more into what happened today in 5 and 6 as well.
All right, cool. So, Seema, you've been a very busy person. We appreciate you and your insight into all this. Fascinating. Let's go.